Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We're back on another customer reel this morning, and we're working on a Shimano FX300 that is very sluggish. It's really very hard to turn. And my guess is this reel has not been serviced in a while. Fellow brought it in, says it's just not doing what it should be doing. Quick check, the bail is operating. It's got one of these fast cast or easy cast kind of a spools where I always show it wrong because I don't have a pole in my hand, but you'll flip it as you're throwing it. You'll use this to flip, and that will release the line without you touching the line. So the Shimano FX series has been around a long time. The 300 is a nice reel overall, and this one's just kind of punky. I guess that's a good word for it, punky. So we're going to start by removing the exterior pieces so that we can get underneath and show you how this reel is made and how to service it. And to do that, you want to first turn your handle and see if the side button is turning. That's an indication that you have a through screw on that side plate. You'll see it comes off in a counterclockwise direction. And as we take the pieces and parts off, I want to thank our first responders, essential personnel, all of our local hometown heroes that are helping us cope with the pandemic, and everybody working to keep us safe, whether you're in the medical field, the supply chain, working on the vaccine, fire, EMT, first aid squads, anybody that has an active role in this, that's putting their life out there for us. Thank you. I really do appreciate everything that you do. All right, I'm taking off the side plate screws now. There are 3 of them or 4 of them. I'm putting these in my tray. Normally I lay them on my desk, but there's nothing in my tray right now. I'm just using the bottom of a fast food container as a parts tray, and I'm putting the 4 together there to make sure that they're all the same size. So these are Phillips head screws, and you should equip your bench with Phillips head and flathead screwdrivers in various sizes. The reel manufacturers have never standardized on one in particular, so you may need more than one variety as you do that. This side plate can come off without taking off the rear drag. We'll take the rear drag off anyway, and it looks like we're probably just dry. It seems like that's the only issue in this one, but we'll continue to see. All right, so I'm going to spin this so that our axle shaft comes all the way to the bottom. It may take a minute to get down there, but you'll notice we have a little clip here. That clip holds the axle in place. It actually is a double clip with a mounts on the crosswind block. So let's go ahead and get that out of there. And small parts of my little bugaboo, but that screw came out, but it didn't come out. But just use pliers to get that out. And then there's a little pick. This thing is a lever here that you need in order to get the clip up. So pick it up and pull it out. That's your C-clip. It's a double C-clip. It's going to ride in grooves in the axle. Once we do that, then we can pull that axle shaft out. And I just felt a whole bunch of dried grease in that on that axle shaft. These are the 2 slots where that clip rides. And when you go to reinstall, you're just going to want to make sure that they get into those slots. If you don't get in the slots, you're going to bend those, and you're not going to be able to work with the reel after that. I'm just going to, since I just felt all that dried grease on the shaft, there's no time like the present to go clean that up. You didn't have to take the spool off, and there's nothing going on in the spool. There's no drags in here, so you can just leave this as a complete assembly. Once you take your axle shaft out, you can remove the main gear. You'll notice that there's a little plastic bushing that came out on the back end of this. You can take that and put that back in the case. You'll also notice we have our crosswind block and our crosswind gear. Those are next. And then up top, we have a little clip here that's holding on the rotor. It's a U-clip. And you just want to pry that up. Usually a little screwdriver. In this case, I'm just using a pick, but a little screwdriver or something will hold that up. So what you really are working for when you're doing a restoration like this or servicing on this is it's just dirt and old grease. You can see old grease on the back of this. You want to make sure that it's cleaned and that it's oiled and re-lubed on that. So this case is in good condition. While we're at it, I'm just gonna might as well tear everything down. And of course, I have a lot of pieces and parts on my desk right now. So one of the things you want to do along the way is take pictures so that you know how these things came apart, so that when you go to reinstall, you can get them back together with some confidence level that that you've got it right. So there's a Phillips head screw on the back here. This comes out in a traditional lefty loosey kind of thing, and you should be able to just kind of screw this whole thing off. Then you'll have a carrier that's held in by this clip. There's a C-clip with two prongs on it. You can see the prongs coming through here. It always takes me a minute to get these out. This pick is very helpful for me, and I just kind of like to push it through, just like that. And you can see the clip. That clip is holding in your drag assembly, so just pull that whole thing out, turn it upside down, pull the whole thing out. There's a carrier in here that we didn't get. So I'm just using my pick. This pick is very versatile. I'm being able to do a couple of different things. And you want to do this just to check your drag washers. That's the critical part of this piece of the service. You have a drag washer up top, that's fine. These drag washers very rarely wear out. And a lot of times folks will just skip this aspect, but I did want to do this just to show you how these things, well, stack up. And these do get fairly compressed. And I just dropped it. So what happens to the best of us? Okay, I'm going to use a little blade here to remove the shim washers in between. Now I'm keeping them in a segment from bottom to top. There's one more on here. Okay, so that's your stack. Should be a metal one here. Yep. So what happened with these is it just got dried. So they got dried, they got compressed, they were not maintained, but they're not bad. All right. So what you want to do in this case is you want to use some lubrication. I'm going to use a drag grease, Cal's Universal drag grease on this. It doesn't have to be a dry grease. You can use your regular fishing wheel grease, but get some on there. You want to just keep these nice and loose. So we have our carrier, one greased up washer. This was the next one. It's got a little eared segment to that. I'm going to do the second one now. I'm going to do the same thing. Just get a nice healthy dose. Sure that gets on there. And we had our middle washer. And we have our last washer. So this often gets skipped because these washers don't have a problem like this, but you can see why you want to take care of this as you're doing your servicing. There's one more washer up top here. Take that off as well. And this is a fabric washer, so do the same. Just get some grease onto that, rub it in. Don't go crazy. Don't put a lot of grease on there because, well, if you put a lot of grease on there, the only thing that's going to happen essentially is that grease is going to just jam up on you. All right, there's grooves for those eared washers. Make sure that you settle those in as you replace the drag stack. take that collar with the spring, that goes next. And then you can turn that in. And you want to press down on that so that you can get this clip back on. Anchor the clip into one side, swing it around in the groove. You'll hear the snap, and you need to make sure that you're fully in there. Otherwise, when you go to put the cap on, you just press that down. I think I have it on the wrong side. There's two sides that this can go on. I usually pick the wrong one. Pretty sure I just did there. So let's back this up a moment and we'll redo it. Come in from the other side. So that's what I was looking for. I need that flush point there. That's going to hold your drag assembly in place. Then you can grab your cap again, screw it back on. And again, that's kind of independent of the case. So you can work on just servicing your drags if you need to without servicing your reel. Kind of a nice design element there. A lot of these rear drag reels will not have this screw in the bottom of it. What it will have instead is a flat cap, and then you'll find some kind of clip holding it on inside the case. That's not this here. All right, this is clean. All you want to do on this side is just lubricate the anti-reverse dog. Just give it a couple of flips, make sure that the spring and everything is working. Turn your anti-reverse dog override. Make sure that that's working, and it is. I'm going to turn that to the off position here. And then we're just going to make sure we're clean underneath. I'm going to grab a paper towel just to make sure that we're clean in here. This is the trip lever for your bail, so get some oil on there, and also oil the joints of the bail itself. This one's just a dead end wire here, there's nothing going on. And also it's a good idea to put a drop of oil onto the line guide, even though that line guide is not a roller bearing in this case. Just simply reset your rotor, grab the clip. Now, if you didn't remember which side it went on, then go back to your pictures, but this is the way it went. There was a little notch on the right hand side. I think it's probably hard to try and put this in the other way. And then what I like to do on this, I have the override going now. I want to make sure that it returns so that I have the flip lever on this side. Some of these can be reset for whatever reason, where if you don't do it properly, you're going to be 180 degrees off. So if you're working on a rear drag reel with a flip easy cast or fast cast or whatever they may be calling these, make sure that it comes over on this side. Now this has got a rock in it. Hopefully the axle shaft is going to take some of that play out. That's one of the reasons I do not like these this type of an attachment, but that's basically nothing that you can do there. You've set that clip, go ahead and grab some grease and get it onto the pinion gear, which is part of the rotor. And you could have done that before you reinstalled, doesn't matter. All right, get the bushing. There's two ears on that bushing. They sit in slots in the case, and you need to get those slots or those points into the slots so that it rides flat. If it's not riding flat, it's not installed properly. All right, grease the stud underneath the crossline gear. Come over and get the crossline gear. Make sure you get grease on the back, on the teeth, and on the face. Very important. This one is, all surfaces are used on this one. When you go to set the point down so that you have maximum clearance to get that crossline block on, which is next. We'll do the same thing here. Make sure it gets good grease on the inside of that. You don't have to grease the external side of it or the outside of it. Just get it situated onto that point. Make sure that it's in the slot. Just like that. Square it up. And then next up is the main gear. So take care to get the old grease out of there. Do the same thing we've been doing with the others. Make sure it's nice and clean. You can use a brush if you like to clear the channels of the teeth. And when you notice that it's clean, go ahead and re-grease that as well. So grease on the back, which is going to drive that crosswind here. Grease on the teeth. This one's discolored. There's tarnish on it, but it's not, no way it affects the performance. And I would say that right now, based on what we're seeing as we're servicing this reel, is it's just been lack of grease that's been causing this thing to kind of act the way it is. All right, once we have that, then we can set our gear in place. Now you have to set this gear in before you can set the axle shaft in. Remember when we went to take this out that we had an issue there. All right, once it's set in, notice you have a little shim washer there as well. Get your axle shaft, make sure it's nice and clean. We did notice on the way out that it was a little difficult to get out, which said dried grease. Get a new coat of grease on. Don't put too much on because it's only going to kind of get pushed out there. All right, bring it down. Now you have to match it in with the crosswind block, which is askew at the moment. Get it through the crosswind block, and then you have to match it into that rear drag. And now what you're trying to do is you're trying to line those two slots up for the clip. And it's very close in terms of tolerance, so just make sure that you got it where it's visible on both sides of the crosswind block. Then grab the clip. The clip installs like the number 9, so it goes this way. And you get one on each side. You should be able to feel its seat properly. And if it didn't go in that easy, it didn't go in right. So if you're struggling with that, just make sure that the C-clips are correct. And then we can go grab the set screw. All right, and then let's just get that set screw in here. Before we close up our case. All right, case is done. Rear drag has been done. The inside has been greased. I'm going to put that other shim washer that belongs on there. Make sure the inside of your case is clean. This case as well has one of these bushings with the 2 ears on it that sits in the case. Make sure that's flush, otherwise you won't be able to get your case back on. Snap the case on. Let's go for the 4 screws. We know they're all the same. So if you have one of these, whether it's the 200, 300 size, doesn't matter. They're all pretty much the same in terms of design. I'm sure you've been enjoying the reel for some time. They're relatively inexpensive in terms of the Shimano line for sure, and fishing reels in general. Most of the time they're designed for fresh water because the drag system really doesn't support larger fish. I think this one probably goes to 10 pounds maybe, and this is probably one of the larger ones in terms of the reel size. They are convenient. Having the drag on the bottom makes it easier to adjust your drag while fighting a fish. You don't have to reach over and try to work with the drag knob or something to add or decrease tension. And these have been around a while. It's a proven design and a proven go-to technology with it. So overall, if you're looking for a reel for freshwater fishing, I highly recommend it. It's a nice value-priced reel that will perform and will last. I'm not one of the fishermen that is a fan of the Easy Cast. I really don't like it because if you're over here and you hook up, it takes all the way back to here to set that anti-reverse. So among other things, that and the fact that I guess that I've just grown up on the top drag reels. But I don't discourage the use of these at all. They're all very good. We're going to put that handle back on. We're going to give it a spin. We'll see how we did. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, whether it's on this reel or any reel in particular. Maybe you're working on one and you're stuck or something, or you're trying to decide which ones to buy, or the like. Just leave them in the comment section. I do try to respond to them, I'm tightening down the drag now to make sure that we're holding. We are. Let's give it a spin. Wow, what a difference. What a difference. Nice easy turning wheel. Make sure that the valve flips. And there you go. That's your Shimano FX300. That's how to take this apart and service it. And if you'd like to see more of these, please subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe, please hit the notification button. And again, if you're a first responder, thank you for everything it is that you do. Your help and your service truly is appreciated. And I hope that you have time to get out and enjoy some fishing in your downtime to relieve some of that stress. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.